Today on Tikifire Toy Reviews, Marvel Legends Infinite Series, Daredevil. Hello, Tikifire here with another Tikifire Toy Review. And I've got the Marvel Legends Infinite Series, Daredevil, that I picked up recently off of eBay. This is a great looking Daredevil action figure here, folks. It's a 6-inch figure. It's part of the Marvel Legends Infinite series, and it's part of the Build-A-Figure collection, where you can build the Hobgoblin. Marvel likes to do this to get you to buy like the whole series of figures, even though there may be some figures in there you probably wouldn't buy otherwise. And they've been doing this a while now, at least since the early 2000s. I've got a set that I'm going to be reviewing later. It's from 2005, so I know they've been doing it at least that long. And I think they've been doing it since before that even. So, anyways, I'm done rambling about that. This is the Marvel Legends Infinite Series Daredevil by Hasbro. And it's kind of similar as far as the articulation and height and everything to the Marvel Star Wars figures. Or not Marvel Star Wars figures, but Hasbro Star Wars 6-inch figures. The Black Series 6-inch figures they've been doing in the past few years. And I'm sure that's, they took the inspiration from this Marvel series, I'm sure. This one is a very cool representation of Daredevil, who was always one of my favorite side characters in the Marvel Universe. He's kind of on his own. And I say side character. I mean, he's a main character in his own comic, but I always looked at him kind of as a side character, mainly because I had this comic. And this is my comic from my childhood. This is from 1978. This is a Marvel team-up featuring Spider-Man and Daredevil. And they're fighting Daredevil, one of his greatest adversaries, the Owl. Guy who looks kind of like an owl. So, yes. No, he's actually a pretty dangerous guy if you read the old Daredevil comics. He's pretty scary sometimes. And so, I brought this out. This is kind of why I think of him as a side character, because this is how I mainly knew him when I was a kid, from this comic, where he was a team up with Spider-Man, who of course was my favorite in the Marvel Universe at the time. I'm sure as a kid you like the character Spider-Man just because Peter Parker is often portrayed as a teenager, and so you kind of relate. But anyways, so now we got Daredevil. Yay, Daredevil! I love Daredevil. Daredevil's awesome. If you haven't seen the Netflix Daredevil TV show, oh my gosh, go watch that friggin' thing. It's brutal, but it's awesome. It is so good. And I really enjoyed that series, if you can't tell. So let's check out Daredevil here. I'm going to open him up and take a look at him. Take a look at his articulation, all that good stuff. And here he is out of the package. This is Daredevil. Very cool action figure. He's got his billy club, which does split in half. It also fits in his pouch on his leg. I'll show you that here in a minute. You can pose him in all sorts of action poses. Very, very highly articulated. Very cool. Let's take a look at his articulation. As you can see, he has a ball joint at the shoulder on both arms. His arm will rotate all the way around. Right above the bicep here, he has a swivel. He has an elbow, double jointed elbow, and his wrists do swivel, and his hands will bend in and out. His head is on a ball joint as well. And it tilts forward and a little bit back. You can look up. Very cool. He does have the Daredevil horns. I mean, this is a dead up likeness of the classic Daredevil costumes. Very cool. As you can see here in my old comics, this is Marvel Team Up, Spider-Man and Daredevil. And here is Daredevil, issue 196. His name is Wolverine. Is he friend or the deadliest kind of enemy? Yeah, great stuff. Anyways, this is the classic uniform. Very cool. This is a very, very good likeness of Daredevil. Really like it. I always liked Daredevil. I always thought Daredevil was kind of a cool character. Although I never owned a lot of comics. Mostly, I just thought of him as, one of your side characters. he was very cool because even though he was blind, he had his sonar ability that he got from the radioactive material. And then that was really the only power he had, per se. You know, he wasn't like Spider-Man where he had the powers of a spider, so to speak, climbing walls and all that. He wasn't like the Fantastic Four with all their different powers. Really, he just kept himself in really good shape and practice, and worked really hard to become the best athlete he could be, and fought crime in Hell's Kitchen and New York in general, you know. And if you read through the old comics, he fought crime all over the world eventually, so that's kind of neat. But yeah, Daredevil, how awesome. This is a great figure. Let's look at some of the articulation on his legs now, since we're talking about him. His leg will bend up there at the hip. He does rotate at the thigh. He does have the double jointed knee. And his foot will rotate like so, and will rotate to the sides. So he's a very, very cool character. Very cool action figure. He does also have this little bend here at the chest level, and he will rotate at the waist. And very cool. When I pulled him out of the package, this Billy Club holder was kind of loose. I had to pull this up so it would stay on there better. Also in the package was the left arm of the Hobgoblin and a Hobgoblin flame bomb. And you can see on the back there, that's what the Hobgoblin looks like when you put him together. And I'm not all that interested in getting any of the other figures in that series, so who knows? Maybe I'll throw that arm up on eBay or something. I don't know. I did pick this guy up from eBay. He is a 2015 figure. I believe he was issued back early this year, and he's a little bit hard to find at retail now, although you still may be able to scrounge him up somewhere, but you can pick him up on eBay pretty cheap. I know Amazon, they marked him up pretty high after the Daredevil miniseries on Netflix. And let me talk about the Daredevil miniseries on Netflix for a minute while we're looking at the figure. That series is awesome. If you have not seen it, take some time and watch it. It's only 13 episodes long. It's the perfect length, and I think it's perfect length. I watch a lot of superhero shows. I watch Arrow, and I watch Flash, and I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I've watched other ones over the years. And a lot of those shows tend to have overarching plot lines that go over like the whole season. And the problem they run into a lot of times is they're stretching out to 22, 23 episodes. And they're kind of padding a lot of things, and the overall story kind of gets bogged down a lot of times. And at points you're kind of going, come on, hurry up with it, because you know it's coming, but they just won't get on with things because they're having to stretch out into a whole season. Whereas with the Daredevil miniseries on Netflix, it was pretty tightly plotted for the most part. Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but it was really, really good though. And it had just enough time. It wasn't like the Marvel movies where sometimes things feel a little rushed. Avengers 2, cough, cough. But yeah, sometimes things feel a little rushed as far as character development and that sort of thing. But in that show, they had just the right amount of time. They could develop the characters, really flesh them out. You really felt for Matt, who is Daredevil. Spoilers! You really felt for him and the pain he was going through and all the guilt he felt because he's out fighting and he didn't want to fight. You know, he promised his dad he wouldn't fight. I don't want to spoil it for you. It's really good. Really good. It really relies heavily on comic storylines, but kind of does its own thing at the same time, if that makes sense. I really recommend it. Back to the figure. This is a really great Daredevil figure. If you haven't got a Daredevil figure, if you're like me, I always wanted one. I believe they made one in the old Secret Wars line, but I never did see it at the stores, so I never did get one. But if you're like me and you really wanted a Daredevil figure, especially after watching the show, this is the figure to get. I mean, this is a wonderful, wonderful figure. Let's take a look at his Billy Club before we finish up the review here. It does go together. It makes his walking stick, so to speak. That's how it worked in the comics. And you can put it in this holder. Kind of had to wedge it in. It is made out of a rubbery, kind of soft material. Not the hard rubber like a hard plastic like these arms and everything. His head's kind of rubbery. It's kind of like a hard rubber. So Daredevil, check him out. He's awesome, ready to hurt somebody. Watch out, criminals, right? So thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the review. And please check out my other videos. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks for watching.